Today we'll be fully reviewing the Hella AMX 30105 from 1979. There'll be no build time-lapse, but I will be unboxing and showing you the final product in full detail. I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get on with it. Okay, so let's take a look at the box. So starting off, we can see we have the AR logo. We have showing you that it's made in France. It is a French company. We of course have some very nice box art here of the AMX itself. I presume this is probably in France. Be weird if it wasn't. And if we look over here, we have the logos. So we know it's the tank here. We have the scale of 1/72, 74 pieces. So we know that there's not going to be much detail just from looking from the outside of the box, but there's still a fair amount. We have your 128x42mm dimensions, and of course the logos there. Now if you look closely at this box art, we can see that it's pretty nice. There's no real issues. Of course have the artist's name there. Yeah, I know the tank name so they know what it was. But yeah, this is probably a really nice box art. You don't see many of these anymore of proper artwork, so it's always good to see. Usually they're computer generated. So now we're going to head around to the other side of the box. So of course we have your general warnings in various different languages. We have the French thing there, made in France. On the back we have the general logos. We'll just put that camera there for you. More things about the tank, really. Not many companies do this on the box, which is always nice to see. You actually get details of it. So the year construction, the build quantity, the motor, the cannon, the weight. Which I think it's really nice to see because it adds to things. Another nice thing to see from Hella is that they know that nobody's going to be using the same paint. So they have the instructions down here. What I find quite interesting is that the Hella and Humbrol numbers are the same, so they probably use the same company to do the paint. Of course you have the Rebel down there, so they're your main two that you're going to be using to build the kit. So they've obviously done that, which is always nice to see actually. I think more companies should do that. Showing you the decals here, which is always nice. So I think that Hella have done a really good job just showing you what the kit is here and what's going to be inside it. And I think all companies should really adopt this style because it really just makes it pretty good. And you can get a frame for this as well. They're selling actual frames that fit the size of this box art at the front. So I think it's a pretty cool box, really. I can't really fault that. Let's move on to the parts inside, shall we? Okay, so the box opens up from the top. You just got to cut that tab here, and we can already see that we have the parts. Now, they don't fit very much. The depth of the box and the width of the box isn't exact, so that's always showing that they could have made it a bit smaller, but we can't complain. So let's take these out and then we'll have a look at them in closer detail. So once we put the box aside, we can see that we have four main components to this kit. We have the sand coloured plastic parts. We have these rubber tracks. We'll get onto these later because these are just pants. We have decals, looking nice, although they're probably not going to be. And of course we have the instructions. So let's move on to the individual parts themselves. So let's take a look at the instructions first. So they come in, of course, folded to fit inside the box. And let's open out onto the first step. So as you can see, the instructions are they're A3 near enough sheet. Most of the instructions are condensed down to the same things, which could be confusing to some beginners or people who are used to other companies like Airfix or Revel. Overall, I think there are about 9 steps of this kit, so showing you how much is condensed. So to start off is composing most of the turret details. So even though it's a 1979 medium pressure mould, there still is some nice detail and some small detail, which is always good to see. Second step is attaching the gun and turret to the hull and of course the exhausts. Third step is of course doing the base. We have your bogey setups there and here. Road wheels, of course, because it's a modern MBT. Flipping over the page, we are doing the final rear details, and of course we're doing the tracks. The tracks aren't brilliant, they are rubber. Let's get them here for you. They're rubber tracks, so using a hot knife, of course, to heat these two bits together and fuse them. These could be interesting, but you know, they're really just going to have to fire at that. Hopefully they're long enough. If they're not, well, oh well. Final step, of course, is painting general parts and of course putting the decals on. But that really does conclude the entire kit. And of course here you have your lengths and stuff. Overall, decent instructions. Might be confusing to beginners, but of course, you'll get through it. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a 1979 medium pressure mould, meaning really we should be expecting a lot of flash, and FX kits using the same sort of moulds from around this time were really flashy, so hopefully we have got not a lot of flash on here. As you can see, they've done a much better job than the FX kits. There's near to no flash, and if there is, we can easily sand that all down. No real issues there, to be honest. Pretty impressed. This is my first Hella kit and got no issues currently. Going on to the second sprue, we see you have some really nice engine details here. Considering it's medium pressure, it's really not too bad. And the third and final sprue is of course the bottom part of the hull, which is actually detailed. I was surprised that would be, because nobody looks really underneath there. We've got some jerry cans included, and these are the back parts here. Going back to the turret, we can see that whilst the small details aren't really there, we don't have the cage going around the back of the AMX 30 as pictured in the box art, it's still decently done, and someone, if they really wanted to, probably could mix that cage around on their own using scratch building techniques. So that really concludes the sprues. Overall, I think they are decent. Of course, some little flash that will need to be removed on most of the parts, but that's no real issue, as that should be expected in every kit. The decals are certainly interesting. They're on this blue paper, which all old decals typically are on. They're thin and they could apply well, they might not. I've never used these sort of decals before, so Hella might have made them good, they might not. I'm used to Airfix and Revel, which are typically good, so this could be brilliant or awful, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so let's look at the final product now. We've finished the unboxing and here it is. This is the completed Hella AMX 30 105 in 1/72 scale. As you can see, I have not added any of the decals. I decided that no, they will not fit with my chosen scheme. I chose to do a merely fictional but based off a real one desert scheme. I've used Humbrol 93 Desert Sand and I've used 113 Rust to do the chipping and the exhausts. While we're on the topic of paints, I used Humbrol 33 Black, Humbrol 226 Interior Green, Humbrol 113 Rust, Humbrol 93 Desert Yellow, Humbrol 19 Bright Red, and a homemade dark wash made out of Humbrol Black and just water. This kit is entirely brush painted. The chips were created using a bit of sponge and some paint, and the tracks were dry brushed with desert sand, the same colour as the tank, to try and make them look a bit more realistic rather than just a plain rubber. The kit was certainly not perfect. I do highly doubt the accuracy of the parts, and there were missing details like the cage around the turret. Of course, it was 1979 moulded, so we can give some leniency. The lack of symmetricality on the underside of the wheels was really quite confusing. They actually don't match up either side, which could be infuriating to some modelers if they like things to be absolutely perfect. Of course, the rubber tracks were also completely pants. I mean, they are in general, so that's to be expected. I wouldn't say the kit is to be avoided though. It was a very fun kit to build. Genuinely, there was no fit issues. The build is low effort, so could be done in between breaks of builds and looks good on the desk. So let's do a brief summary now then. So I got this for £3. Usually it would retail for around £8 to £10, so I'd wait for a sale. I wouldn't want to pay any more than £5, but I'd still recommend getting it. It's a decent kit for beginners. Whilst challenging, it's not too challenging and nothing spectacular. And of course, in the current times, people are losing motivation for the hobby, and I think this would be a great model to regain it and just have some fun. No more challenging things, just make a model kit and just have some fun. Okay, so that concludes the Hella AMX 3105 tank in 1/72 scale. I hope you got something out of this video and maybe you'll consider buying the kit yourself. If you did enjoy or get something from it, please feel free to hit that like button and comment what you enjoyed about the video or the model itself. Of course, if you want to help support the channel and really boost it in the algorithm, please consider subscribing. It really does motivate me to continue releasing videos. Until then folks, enjoy modelling and I'll see you on the workbench soon.